something else popped up. Okay. Hello and welcome to a brand new non-canon file of the AllYouCanHear podcast, and I am one of your hosts who's looking back, Wenzel, and I'm joined by...
Looking forward, Colt. I can't turn around. It's too rough back there.
Yeah. So I can only look back and you can only look forward. That's cool.
Yup.
But if we go back to back, then we can cover each other.
And if we start spinning, we can see everything.
Yeah, we get a 360. So, yeah. Yeah, that works. We just got to share a brain at that point.
Yep, we're going to morph into flesh. It's going to be disgusting. We're going to look like MODOK, but sideways. Not
Yes.
MODOK. What is that guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? He's got a face in his stomach.
Oh.
Krang?
Krang? I think it's Krang.
Yeah, we're that guy, but sideways.
Well, there's some depictions of Sukuna where he's like two people, but like just one's the front, one's the back. We could be that.
No, I think we should look fucked up in a funny way.
To be fair, those look kind of fucked up in a funny way. But we're not talking about being some grotesque creature morphed together. We're here to talk about the most recent adaptation of a work by the famous chainsaw man mangaka Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back. For those who don't know, we covered a previous work of Fujimoto's back in December, episode 329, where we read and discussed all of Fire Punch. Go check that out. It's a long episode and definitely not a happy read, but I thought it was a pretty good episode, and it's a fairly good series as well.
Yeah, and we're definitely, like Wenzel said, we're here to talk about Look Back, and we're not here to talk about how Nicole Kidman couldn't stop orgasming on the set of Babygirl. We're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about how she said, I can't do it anymore. Just the way people looked at me. I was just like, I can't orgasm anymore. I'm not going to talk about that unless you want to.
That definitely was not on my mind. But that is not a joke. There was a news report from several media outlets where Nicole Kidman did say that there's a film coming out in December from A24 starring Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson. Apparently, Harris Dickinson made her orgasm so much that she had to stop and like pause filming several times or whatever. It's a pretty crazy headline to read. Yeah.
Like when I first saw the trailer, I thought this is it for me. But after I read that, I was like, I got to figure out how this happens. I gotta discover. I gotta find out because I really I really
stuttering so bad.
I really liked the movie. What was the one where she was with Tom Cruise and it was Mega Orgy? Come and see? Nope.
No. What?
Eyes wide open. Shut.
Eyes wide shut, dude.
I think this is probably going to be the most horny she's been in a movie. I haven't seen a lot of her stuff, but the most horny she's been in since that movie.
Man, to be fair, whenever I read that, I immediately thought of Eyes Wide Shut as well. Whenever there's that line between her and Tom Cruise, and she says, there's something very important that we need to do soon. And Tom Cruise is like, well, what's that? And she's like, we need to fuck. Or she says, fuck. I did think about that. I was like, damn, man, Nicole Kidman horny again? Like,
yeah, the more I think about it, she's freaky as hell in a lot of her roles. Even in The Northman, that scene at the end of the movie. What you doing, girl?
Oh shit! I forgot about that. What the hell, you man? Yeah. So, Yeah, we've seen that trailer a few times. I'm interested in it just because like I love Nicole Kidman and I really enjoyed Harris Dickinson in Triangle of Sadness. So I'm very curious about this film and the dynamic they're showing.
I want to see it now.
But okay, but do you think they're just gonna have tons and tons of scenes of her just absolutely just busting fat fucking nuts?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it? Do you know?
Okay, fair enough. I haven't seen it, but that's not why I'm watching it.
Different objectives.
I mean, kind of, but not really, I guess. I'm here to see the tasteful, the tastefulness.
I don't know how tasteful this movie can be.
The tastefulness of Nicole Kidman just being an absolute fucking squirter.
Get on the floor and drink from that dog bowl. Please.
Wow. We need to talk about Look Back, not whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about that, okay?
But we did just talk about it.
No, we didn't.
Okay. So, man, what the hell? Yeah. Okay. Let me look at my doc real quick.
Damn, I didn't mean to like throw you down the stairs.
Well, to be fair, I just have these little points right here. Because I know what to do for the rest. I just have talk details, give basic plot, runtime, then box office, and you completely derailed me. So now I can't even do those.
Damn.
No, I can. All right. All right. So, Look Back was a one-shot manga that released back in July 2021, and it tells the story of Ayumu Fujino, a young manga artist who, driven by rivalry and friendship with a reclusive classmate, strives to improve her craft and finds purpose in creating art. The official anime film adaptation premiered back in June 2024. We watched this on October 5th.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we watched it, but it's still stuck in my brain. I remember reading the one shot when it first dropped, and I absolutely loved it. I told Wenzel to read it for the longest time, never did, because he's a coward and a fraud. And I've been hearing constantly ever since this this anime came out in Japan. I've been seeing every single person and their mother, apparently, that I follow, lives in Japan and saw this movie and said, "You have to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie." Kojima even watched the movie. It's fucked up, and we just were forced to wait like 4 months.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I still haven't read the one shot. I should at this point.
It's a different experience. I mean, it's the same story, but it feels different.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely different. Just because it is drawn specifically, it's just Fujimoto, whereas with this adaptation, it's emulating Fujimoto style while also the director putting in his own style for this. Yeah, I mean, like Colt said, I kind of avoided reading it because after it came out, I just kept hearing like great things about it, but then I also kept hearing like it's a heavy read just because if you're an artist or somebody who loves to draw, it hits you hard. And then whenever the anime or the film came out, and then like Colt said, Kojima saw it, and he even put his own little brief kind of review that he does on Twitter, talking about it. I mean, that like everybody just who has not only read it, who watched it, says the same thing. It's like it's heavy. It's if you're an artist, if you're a creator, especially if you're somebody who draws, this will hit you close to home. It's a testament to all of us who are those things.
And the freakazoid that wrote it, he's the weirdest motherfucker you can ever ever learned things about, just from his fetishes to his floating and to his questionable writing. Even when even when he makes Chainsaw Man chapters, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing, Fujimoto? I need to sit down and shut my white ass up and listen, because he can cook. Like, just recently, as of recording, we're recording this on the 24th of October. He in the last chapter, it had a very questionable ending, and I don't know what he's planning, but I should just shut up and let him cook.
Yeah, because he's having a break week, so it's kind of diabolical for him to do that. And then also too, this story is also kind of personal, just because there's a lot of elements taken from what we assume to be Fujimoto's actual life. I mean, there's a reference to his manga in the story itself. The names of our two main characters are literally his last name. Took a not combined, but like it's like he took half of his last name and gave each a part of it to the characters. There's like a better way I could phrase that. I asked Cole, I was like, I could have sworn there's like a term for whenever an author does this, when they have their characters represent the author, or they like literally will take part of their name and put it in their characters. I feel like there's a term. If somebody out there can tell me, or maybe you can tell me I'm crazy, I don't know.
And fart sniffer, because they're so self-important that they got to put themselves in their story like little pieces of shit. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I have to come in with different energy because Wenzel loves this, and I'm pretending to be the one that hates it. But I loved it.
Yeah, no, because so quick. Yeah, this whole thing will be spoiler filled. I gave that basic little plot there in the beginning, so that if you haven't seen it or if you haven't read it, go do that right now. If you have the Shonen Jump app, if you have the subscription, you can read it right now. It's like I don't know how many pages. Hold on.
It's 143.
Is it?
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, it's 143 pages. So go do that. I'll put a timestamp here for whenever we start talking about the full plot. But it was directed by Kiyotaka Oshiyama. It was written by Kiyotaka Oshiyama. The music was by Haruka Nakamura. The studio is Studio Durian. And the runtime is 8 minutes on our showing, but we did get an official post movie interview with the director and with the actors as well. So that was really cool, and it gave a little insight, and I think it even elevated the film even more, which is crazy. But just hearing and seeing the work that the director himself put into this is like it gives it so much more power. But
And just to let you know about this director, Oshiyama he is like an all-timer when it comes to animation. Looking at his shit now, Jesus Christ. He worked on Gurren Lagann, Slam Dunk, the rebuilds of Ava, Space Dandy, fucking Devilman Crybaby. He is legitimately an incredibly talented animator, and he shows it off fully, because wasn't he the solo animator?
Yes and no. I know from what I remember from the interview, he did a lot of it by himself, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't just him. There were others, because I remember when he talked about them doing the cells, the drawings or whatever, they would erase their work, but he told a lot of them not to do that, to keep their sketchiness, their lines and stuff in there, so that he would implement it into the film itself. I think I remember him saying that. And I'm fairly certain like Studio Durian is not just him, but I could be wrong. But I do remember him doing a lot of the animation himself. and hand drawing it, by the way.
Yes, like I said, extremely talented. Jesus Christ, I love you. Just
Yeah,
because his
no,
animation is so iconic, and especially with Devilman Crybaby. Anyone that's worked on Devilman Crybaby is automatically put at the top of my list of creators.
yeah, I agree. Same thing with as we said before, Ushio, who did the music. Like same thing.
Yeah.
Anytime he's attached to anything, I'm like, holy shit, this is something I got to check out. But yes, and then the visual language too of this film, even though it is Oshiyama, like we said too, like it's a totally different experience between reading Fujimoto and then watching this, because it is like Fujimoto's art come to life, but it is very much still Oshiyama putting in his own flair and way of doing this, being the director and animating a lot of this. So yeah, as usual with these review and discussions, I'm just going to go through the Wikipedia plot summary, and then we'll talk about it along the way, and then we'll give our final thoughts and how we felt about it, and we'll talk about the post interview afterwards. So yeah, so Ayumi Fujino, played by or voiced by Yumi Kawai, is an elementary schooler with a talent for drawing manga, which she publishes in the school paper. After being lauded for exceptional skills, she finds herself challenged by another student, Kyomoto, voiced by Mizuki Yoshida, who begins publishing her own manga alongside Fujino's, but demonstrates herself as the superior illustrator artist between the two. This scene was so funny because, again, if you drew whenever you were a kid and like you're just constantly drawing and you're constantly having parents, adults, or other kids telling you, oh, you're so good, you're great, you're the best, or whatever, and then you have another somebody who's like in the same school or just in the same general area who just happens to also submit art that all these same people have seen. Immediately they'll say, oh wow, this stuff is like, sometimes people will have a filter but kids don't. So whenever they see Kiyomoto's art, a kid next to Fujino says, wow, your art looks subpar compared to Kiyomoto's. It's just so devastating because Fujino, there's this great scene where the classroom gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but then also too, when Fujino sees Kyomoto's art and how good it is, her mouth is just like a gas, just open, and it's just it's like a classic like expression that Fujimoto does really well. So freaking funny. And as I was saying too, with Fujimoto's name being in these characters, Fujino, the first part of her last name, Fuji, is the first part of Fujimoto's last name, and then Kimoto, Moto, the last part is the last part of Fujimoto's last name. So that's where we kind of get that reference in here. But yeah, what do you think of this? Whenever we see these Kimoto's art compared to Fujino's, and then also to the opening comic that they show.
Thought it was a lot of fun. That fucking opening comic, it's really fucking good. It reminds me of another person who animates, his Japanese animator that does fucked up style, but it's their style. They fucking, I think they worked on this maybe. Probably not, but they do Pop Team Epic. Where they make it fucking, it looks horrid, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It just adds to the comedy of it. It was a very funny sketch with the meteorite plummeting to give its love a kiss.
Yeah. It was really funny because it's just this brief little comic. It's just 4 panels. It's called Yonkoma. So the panels just go it's just vertical, and you read them going down. And then in these 2 people this couple dies in a car accident, and they're going to be reincarnated, and the woman is reincarnated as a human, and she's like waiting for her true love kiss. And the man is reincarnated as a meteor, and he's falling to Earth, ready to give his wife a kiss, and he ends up destroying the Earth. They even animated the comic in the movie, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just incredible. And then, but then Kyomoto's art, which like it was, I had a flashback because let me tell you when like how close this hit for me. I drew a lot of little characters like from TV shows, from movies and stuff all the time. I drew Pokemon so much. And there was this kid who was like either a grade or two ahead of me. I don't remember their name, but I remember it was such a big deal because what they fucking did was they decided that they were going to draw the government building, or I think it was the Capitol building in Alabama. They were going to draw it, the whole building. This front facing pencil graphite drawing of the whole building, and it was everywhere. Like it got an award. The kid was celebrated in the newspapers and everything. I just remember being so crushed by that because it was insane. Like I want to say I was in like 3rd grade, and this kid was in 5th grade, and already at 5th grade they were doing architectural drawings, and it just was soul crushing.
Yeah, people that are good at architectural drawings, you just know that they're autistic. That's my experience with any architect or any architectural engineering type of person. They're mostly on the spectrum. And I bring that up because they're so fucking good at it, and they're on the same team. So they're on the same team as us in the way that we're neurodivergent, and then that you wanted to beat this person to the death because they were a better drawer than you.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but you're right though. Like, we're all neurodivergent, so it's just like what we like really attach ourselves to. His was doing architecture. Me, I love pop culture. I love cartoons. I love that stuff. Video games. So of course I love to draw other characters, and which is just this scene in particular that I really enjoyed. And it's just this thing where like kids have no filter. They don't care. They'll just say whatever pops in their little fucking heads, and parents don't really know. Well, maybe today, but I know at the time, for me anyway, parents just don't know how to tell kids, hey, just because this person's art, you may think it's better than yours or it looks different, that doesn't mean it is better, or that means your art is any worse. It's just a different style. There's a different thing that they're interested in, a different subject matter. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different styles. And of course, if you want to improve, that's perfectly fine. I just wish we would see that more. And that's what I really like about this scene. It's just like of never having that, of that void left open because nobody knows how to. Still today, is nobody really knows how to talk to young artists or encourage them.
I got a message for young artists then. If you see someone that does like really good hyper realistic art, do not feel bad because they in the community are the least popular because it's so boring. Just know that it's not a fan favorite.
Okay, no, that's still bad advice. No, there's nothing.
No, it's not. Hyper realistic is bad art. I don't like it.
No, you can't. Okay, what the hell? No,
that's my opinion. My opinion is kill them. No, I'm joking.
No. the conversation about realism and that it's a whole nother thing that I can't get into now. But there's nothing wrong with that. Just whatever you're interested in. Choose.
It's just wrong around me. Just make sure you don't show me your art if it's hyper realistic, or I'll start foaming out the mouth.
Why do you keep adding to this? I am trying to.
I'm evil.
Okay. Kyomoto's art, though, I should say, was really cool because it wasn't hyper realistic. It was not landscape, but it was like environmental or like still lifes that were like that were very impressionistic, very good. They're very cool. But anyway, to continue on, infuriated by this, Fujino throws herself into improving her art skills, which leads to her alienating her friends and family as she obsesses over overcoming Kyomoto. In spite of improvements, Fujino fails to meet Kyomoto's standards and quits drawing. When her class graduates from middle school, Fujino is tasked with delivering Kyomoto's diploma to her, as she is an agoraphobic truant who never left her house. Fujino enters Kyomoto's house and finds piles of sketchbooks. Finding a slip of paper, she draws a Yokomo, like I mentioned before, mocking Kyomoto, which was really funny because it's just it's like a little thing. It's like a race where they're like, let's see who I can't remember exactly. It's like being like a shut-in race. And Kyomoto is in the lead, but it shows like just a pile of bones. It's really funny. But that slip of paper inadvertently enters Kyomoto's room, alerting her to Fujino's presence. Kyomoto comes out of her room to meet Fujino, revealing herself as a huge fan who has been following her manga in the school paper for quite some time. Extremely flattered by Kyomoto's enthusiastic idolization of her, Fujino claims to have plans to submit manga to contests and takes up drawing again. So before we get to this latter part, I wanted to go back a little bit whenever talking about Fujino obsessing over wanting to get better than Kyomoto. That was also another thing too. We get this kind of like this montage of her just always sitting by herself, always drawing, no matter what, whether it's at school, whether it's at family, like living room time, watching a film or something, or being at the park with other kids or something. It's just always drawing. The books are filling up. There's just so many books about anatomy. Again, if anybody who like me obsesses over drawing when they were younger, constantly getting sketchbook, getting tons of books on how to draw animals or anatomy or whatever. Like it felt like I was being called out in this moment, because just like it's like at the same time, it's like you gotta respect the dedication, but then it's just like there's that dedication also too of like alienating yourself from everybody. It's like it's brutal, but it's like it's honest at least. I really like that. And then whenever Kyomoto finally gets face to face with Fujino and Fujino's leaving, there's this really cute moment. I don't know how it looks in the manga, but in the anime, in the film, Kyomoto looks like just this little baby, just frog, mouth open, just starry eyes, just watching Fujino leave. It was so cute. It was so cute.
And it's after that scene, it's the most iconic thing from the manga. But if you don't read it, it's hard to tell or why it's iconic. It's the scene of her running full speed, which was really good, beautifully animated, very unique. But I just think it hits so much harder in the one shot, just because I don't know, it just feels more emotional for me, at least. It's a very beautiful double page spread that Fujimoto put his entire soul into.
Whenever, like Colt says, this 2-page panel that I see of Fujino running and jumping in the rain, and this expression of just like of her like it like it's kind of looked like she's punching the air, but it's just like her arms are out and her face is scrunched, and she's just so happy, and then like just like it's just like a fuck yeah like kind of moment that like Colt says, it's so powerful. Like, having known nothing about Lookout, every time I see this 2-page panel, I'm like that is a feeling that I I get. I understand it. And then seeing it in here, and I will say too, it's like it is, if I were to give a criticism, not negative, but like, but to say that like the Fujimoto original one shot drawing of this is definitely more impactful, but they're both different because, again, Oshiyama is putting his own flair on this, and we're seeing this moment in motion, animated, and and seeing it again, it was gorgeous. It was also really funny seeing the transition from her lightly skipping to just stepping and smashing into every puddle. um but when I see this panel and when I see this scene, I don't know why, or I do kind of know why, but I always think of the song. This had a huge run on TikTok for a little bit. It's Swing Lin by Harmless. That scene and that song, whenever it goes into the whenever it does the slow slow build up, and then it does um the instrumentals, I don't really know if I could do it well over mic, but if anybody's ever heard that song, you know what I'm talking about. The very beginning, um it just, there's so much emotion, so much feeling packed into this scene. It's so good. um Yeah, no, it was just phenomenal. But continuing on, one day Fujino receives. Um, oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. My bad. The two eventually team up to create manga, submitting multiple one-shots that receive high praise. During their teenage years, Fujino is told that she will be serialized, but Kimoto opts out not to join her as she wishes to get a formal education in art. Fujino continues on without her, working on her manga Shark Kick, which becomes popular enough to receive an anime adaptation. Shark Kick is the reference to Chainsaw Man. It is very fun. They just do a bunch of Chainsaw Man covers, but with their shark, this own universe's Shark Kick. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and the scene where Fujino is just saying like, "You're not good enough to go to art school," or "Yeah, you can't survive without me. There, you might as well just stay here with me and help me draw Shark Kick." That shit was sad, and I think it was fucked up. And Fujino should have apologized
Yeah.
immediately.
No, it hurts so much too, because I mean, Kimoto though is able to kind of defend herself. She's like, well, that's why I want to go to art school. I want to be able to live on my own. Um I want to do these things, be able to do these things on my own. And then when she says that, Kimoto's saying like, well, that's why I want to get better. I want to be good enough as you. And it's so sad because it's this moment of like, if they could just vocalize exactly how they feel, because Kimoto feels like she's not a good enough artist, even though she's incredible. And she really loves landscape art. So that's what she really wants to get better at.
She just that's our whole thing when writing or doing manga with her is
landscape
backgrounds.
Background, yep.
And those people are very crucial to a good manga. A good background is hard to come by in a lot of manga.
Dude, like, it's crazy. Like, when it comes to making comics, because like, it's one thing to write and to have your characters, but then it's a whole nother thing of conveying emotion, making sure there's a background, making sure the font size is correct, that blurbs aren't taking too much of the image, where they're being placed, how movement is conveyed. There's so many aspects that go into making comics. It's insane, and it's always crazy when people are like, oh, you should make comics, or are you going to make a comic or anything? And having already known these things when I was younger, I did not want to do that. I was like, holy shit, making a comic is so hard. But now that I'm older, making a comic is so fucking hard.
Yeah, it's not something like it's something I'd like to try at some point, but it looks very difficult. But then again, it depends on where you put the effort. And like into your own style, like for an example, the creator of One Punch Man, Mob Psycho, his stories are top notch, hilarious little comics, but the art style is less so. But it's good in a way because he's known for that style. It's just you have to adapt to your strengths when it comes to creating art.
I mean, yeah, like like there's so many aspects to it because I mean, hell, even Fujimoto is an incredible artist, but they even said that they're getting really tired of making art, and that at some point they're probably just going to be strictly a writer. And like that sucks, but I like it makes sense because again, like you want so much control over your story, um and it's like you can it might be more feasible to divide up certain things, like that's why that's why a lot of mangakas will have assistants who work on inking or people who do backgrounds or what have you. And then it's the same thing in comics. You have people who are who color, who do the wording, who do the illustrate the art itself, the writers. I mean, like everybody like and it's tough because again it's like you want so much control because it's your story, so you want to do you want to try to make sure that it's conveyed properly, because if you're having so many different hands on it and so many different minds working at once, something might be lost. And that's also why like I think about making a comic. Like again, I'm older and I know comics are still harder, but now that I'm older and having got an idea and knowing understanding what how to work harder, it is something I think about, and a reality that might not be too far off of making comic, but it's just like when I think about it, it's just like I want to do it myself, but there's just so many things that go into it. I don't know if it can only be just me, and that kind of scares me. Oh God, where was I going? Yeah. So, yeah. So, wow, I went on a whole different tangent. I'm sorry. So yeah, Kimoto wants to go and be a better background artist. And again, in this moment, like I was trying to say, is like vocalizing, because Kimoto doesn't think of herself as being a good artist, yet she is great. And it's just so funny because Fujino doesn't think that she's a great artist. She thinks Kyomoto is great. So it's just like if they could just talk to each other properly, so much could have been done. But one day, Fujino receives a news of a mass murder at an art college and discovers that Kyomoto was one of the casualties. Overcome with guilt over the possibility that she had indirectly led Kyomoto to her death by inspiring her to pursue an art career, Fujino returns to Kyomoto's house and tears up the Yonkoma she drew years ago. A scrap slips into Kyomoto's room, seemingly time travels to the fateful day when the two meet. Kyomoto is too alarmed by the scrap to exit her room, preventing her from meeting Fujino. Despite this, she still develops genuine interest in an art career and attends college anyway. She is nearly killed by the mass murderer, but is saved by Fujino, who apprehends the would-be killer. The two catch up as Fujino is loaded into an ambulance for injuries, and Fujino offers to create manga with Kyomoto.
This whole scene, it's rough. I knew it was coming, and like as soon as it was like starting, I was like deep breathing, just like trying to. I was doing some sighing. I was like, "Oh God, here it comes! Here comes the pain!" And let's say, yeah, it came. The fact that this is based on, or it's kind of, it references the Kyoto animation arson attack from like 2019, where a guy thought that someone at the studio was stealing his art and creating anime with it. not the case. That guy was just not well, a piece of shit. Just it's very heavy with Fujimoto referencing this just like 2-3 years after the fact. But it's very well done. It's still heartbreaking.
Yeah. So I didn't know what happens. You know, I like I said, I hadn't read the one shot, so I didn't know that Kyomoto dies. But for some reason, in my gut, I knew something huge was going to happen, something big, something involving probably death, and it was going to hurt. And holy shit, did it hurt? Because I mean, in our day and age, like with having there been school shootings, having there been attacks at colleges, I mean, like Colt says, it parallels the 2019 Kyoto animation arson attack. Like real stuff. Like it felt like, you know, like real. It felt like this is something that could happen, something just insane, just incomprehensible happening to somebody close, to somebody who had a bright future, just being snuffed out. Like, and it's brutal. And then Fujino being just so torn up about it, especially like, you know, what couldn't be said, or what ended up happening. And then but then it was like the scene too, it was crazy because I was getting so much anxiety because whenever it's like redoing the scene of the mass murderer attacking the school, it's done like a news report, like a news like dramatization, spot or like film, where it shows the little subtitles at the bottom showing when, at exactly what times the person entered the school, who was there. And but then it really breaks the tension whenever Fujino comes in and does karate against the mass murderer, because that was something that was set up in the close to the beginning, that she took karate classes with her sister, and in this alternate timeline she kept taking karate. And so since her karate class was near the school, she saw the guy running with a pickaxe, that she ran up and knew something had to be done. It's so sad too, because you hear like I'm one of those people who, you hear about something tragic happening, and then you in your head, and especially as a kid, you think about like, oh man, if I just had superpowers, or if I was just like super strong or super agile or something, I could have prevented this, or I could have done something, you know, if I just had knowledge of what it may be, or like, you know, you can see the future or something, you could just prevent it. And it like playing into that wishful thinking, it's just so it's just so heartbreaking. Um yeah. So returning home after, in this alternate timeline, Kyomoto draws a Yonkoma of Fujino saving her from the murderer. It's so funny because she saves her from the murderer, but then whenever Fujino in this comic is walking away, the pickaxe is in her back, and the comic is called "Look Back," telling her to look
Fun.
back. Yeah, it kills me. A gust of wind blows the manga out of her room and into the view of Fujino, back into the regular timeline. Shocked by the manga, Fujino enters Kyomoto's room, finding an open window and multiple copies of Shark Kick, showing that in spite of their separate paths, Kyomoto never stops looking up to her. Also, I should mention too, if you hear my voice breaking as I'm talking right now, it's because I am on the verge of crying. Like, no joke. I am so close. It is killing me right now. Still despairing over her life choices. Wow, this last part is just gonna. I've read this 3 times before this podcast, and still rereading it, I am so close. Fujino denounces drawing, only to remember all the times her manga made Kyomoto happy. Fujino decides to return and continue drawing manga, having taped Kyomoto's Yonkoma, her empty Yonkoma, above her workstation, to remind her of why she continues despite the labor-intensive and seemingly unrewarding nature of creating manga. And then also too, in this kind of we get this montage of all the times, and then like a brief like dialogue, or a brief line of Fujino, or why do you draw Fujino? and it's just, yeah,
It's rough. Let's just say we watched it in a pretty full theater of people, and there was some crying happening.
yeah, it was the guy next to me. I mean, I felt it, but the guy next to me was like dead. He was just like dead inside. It's just brutal, dude. Um, yeah, yeah, and that's it. That's how the movie ends. Um,
And that's Fujimoto's talent. He loves to hurt people because he loves being hurt himself.
um, and it's like that line too of why do you draw is like one that I think will ring out forever in like cinema history, in my opinion, of, and like not only that, of like in the minds of like anybody who reads this, who watches this, like any artist, any creator, anybody who draws, like it's just like it's just a good question of like why do you draw, and like you don't have to have like a vocalized or a written answer. It's literally like in my head, you just think about everything, just like everything in your life, everything that like all of your drawings, just everything. You just think of it all, and then it's just like it's just like a flash forward of like that's why I draw, and it's it's you know it's a lot. It's really I told myself I would be able to vocalize this, because I've been trying to like write this down, but I've been procrastinating my exact like thinking about how I want to say this, um yeah, you want to give some of your thoughts?
I thought it was a very, very great ending. It's not just something that applies to to artists. I mean, it does. It just applies to artists, but not just applying to drawing artists or painting artists. This is to all kinds of creators in general. Why do you create? Is another way
Yeah.
you could put it. It's just something that like the answer is really different for everyone, but in the end, it's kind of the same answer because it's just for yourself. That's the way I see it. Is it's for you, your happiness from like I draw to make someone happy, but you make that person happy also makes you happy. In the end, it's a full circle of just goodness, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just this kind of this cycle that feeds into basically each other. Is like, you do it because you do it for you, but then because I mean people pick up on that, people see that, and when they do that, that makes them happy, and that makes you happy, and it's just this perfect cycle. And
As you said, Cole, and as I also believe, you should create for yourself, and I definitely create for myself. But I remember when I first heard that, immediately the response in my mind was the one thing that I've always hoped for when it comes to when I've drawn or painted or when I make my art is I just really hope that people realize how much I loved it. I want them to see my drawings and think he really loved drawing. He loved painting. I don't really know if I've said this anywhere else besides telling my parents this, but I love drawing so much and I love art so much. And without it, I don't know what I would be like if I ever lost that, the ability to create, to draw. I would be gone. Um, I'm just not me. I'm just not Wenzel without it, and I love it so much. And I just really hope that, looking at any of my art, I just really hope that when people see it, they just think he loved it, and I do love it, and I just hope that comes across.
but I will say from whenever I did make I did make briefly a story on my Instagram about it, because like Colt says, it's not just for people who draw and artists. It's for anybody who creates. And I know for me and for a lot of people, it inspired like everyone. And I recommend anybody who's an artist, who's a creator, what have you, go read it, go watch it. It had an effect on me. It had an effect on a lot of people. I know for me, like,
Even though this film has inspired me immensely, I'm currently overwhelmed with my art at the moment. I've kind of taken a break from it. But that doesn't mean like my fire, my drive isn't still there. It's just one of those things like when an athlete gets injured or you just get physically injured or sick, the same thing applies to art and to mental health. You got to take a break. You have to rest. There's no need to unnecessarily suffer. Um, and I know I'm still itching. I want so badly to get back to it, but it's not right yet. I have to wait. It's part of the journey, and this film has added fuel to create a huge bonfire. Because I said before, a future of making a comic is possible, but also then some. Because I want to learn to write stories, to write scripts, to make comics, to make animation, and to make films. I want to be a better artist. I want to create so much. There's just so much I want to do, and it's never too late to start. And I know when I'm ready, I'll be able to get back to it. I won't exactly give away what I've got thinking or going on, but if anyone has been keeping up with my Satanic Sunday series, I know it's on hold right now, but it has something to do with that. It's been something I've been thinking about this whole year, an idea that hasn't died since I thought of it. I'm going all in on it. And I might be saying too much already, but I have big plans with that. And that's really just the impact this film has had on me. It's really just pushed me. Like, even though I was already kind of going in this direction, this film was just another just big push for me.
Yeah, this is just a huge inspiration. Post movie interview where we got to talk a lot with the director and then with the actresses, but I would like to focus on the director, because I think what he had to say was really like relevant to the current times. That's what's going on with AI. And I can't remember specifically what he says. Hopefully the interview is, maybe it's already out there, but hopefully it's out there for people to see. But him talking about the process of making this film was so insightful, because like I said, he animated a lot of this, and specifically it was really cool, the choice where when it comes to the characters themselves, they were a little more sketchy, a little more fluid, a little more impressionistic, but the backgrounds were always highly detailed, very vivid, very rendered is a better way to put it. And that was to show kind of the duality between the two characters themselves of that in there. And I really appreciated that. But he himself talks about how this film is important because of the fact that, like, of him animating and drawing so much of it by hand, and its relevance because of what is happening with AI currently in AI art, and that he wanted this to be kind of like a testament to the hard work of humans, of something that like this cannot be recreated by AI, and that not only that, the blood, sweat, tears, all the hard work, the experience of making something like this, of making any kind of content or art, is something that that AI or people who claim themselves to be AI artists are missing or are lacking. And that's also another thing that I never even thought about with this movie, that I think that if you're going to watch this film, I think you should watch that interview, because like I said, it just elevates it.
I agree. Watch the interview. It's very good. I just want to say, I am so tired of AI art. I know it's not necessarily the platform, but oh my god, I am so tired of seeing AI art everywhere you go. It's just a flood. It's especially on Twitter. It is awful. YouTube thumbnails, it's awful. It's just, I'm so so tired of it, and it's nothing good. It's just a morphed up meat monster baby in a candy corn outfit. Oh my gosh, it is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But it's fooling all the people above the age of 30. So what do I know?
No, I mean, this is the place to talk about it because you're not the only one. I mean, this is very relevant, especially to creators and artists of that. I mean, you're not the only one, too. I mean, with corporations, with people in general, just devaluing artists and art, it's, yeah, everybody is tired and pissed of it. Like, it's just crazy. And yeah, and I look back, and anybody who can make any sort of art, or I mean, yeah, any art, like I say this in my song for Emotion interview, is like a huge thank you to artists and just making art, not using AI, not defaulting to AI, willing to make art, to put it out there, is incredibly brave and just incredible. And huge thank you to all creators and artists for that. Yeah, and don't worry, if you're wanting to watch Look Back, it will be available to stream on November 7th. Depending on the region, it might be November 8th. If you have Prime Video, you can watch it on there. Again, that's kind of funny with what we're talking about and having to plug Amazon there, but I think you should check it out.
It's only 58 minutes. It's just under an hour, and it'll kill you, and it'll kill some time.
Yeah. I guess, is there anything else we have to say?
Fujimoto, I look forward to everything you work on. Let's get Goodbye Eri. I hope Goodbye Eri gets animated at some point. I know Oshiyama said I don't want to animate that, so I'm fine with that. Give it to someone else. Let someone else animate it. I just want Goodbye Eri to be animated. And heads up, it is a Fujimoto work, so it has his flair to it.
And that it's going to be emotionally devastating. Got it.
Yeah.
Good to know. But yeah. I mean, if you can't tell, or if you don't know, I give it 5 out of 5 for my Letterboxd rating, and just for my rating of all time. It's one of my favorite films this year, and definitely up there.
And I give it 5 out of 5 too. It's a fantastic film. One of my favorites of the year as well. But we'll know that for sure if it makes it to the number 1 by the end of the year. I'm burping and talking. But yeah, we'll find out.
Well, thank you for listening. If you're listening to this the week of release, we had just released episode 367 this past Monday, where we review and discuss the anime adaptation of Uzumaki. We watched all 4 episodes and give our thoughts and details leading up to its release. Also, the week before, we released episode 366, where we discuss our thoughts on the ending of the Jujutsu Kaisen manga and our overall thoughts on the series. And again, thank you for listening. We're the All You Can Hear podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and even YouTube now. We're on Twitter, AYCH Podcasts. Go follow the Backlog Boys. Go follow the Instruction Booklet. Go follow Cajun Greatness. Also leave us a review, give us feedback, subscribe to us, give us 5 stars. It really helps us out. You can follow us on TikTok at AYCH Podcast, where we have a few videos up. They're just quick little reviews of some films we've seen recently, and I hope to do some more short-form video content on there, so keep your eyes peeled. We're on Blue Sky at aychpodcast.bsky.social. Follow us on Instagram at AYCH Podcast. Follow us on twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear, where we'll occasionally stream. Like recently, Tanner streamed his playthrough of the nautical horror game Still Wakes the Deep, which was divided into 2 parts, and the VODs for both of those are up on our YouTube, All You Can Hear, along with all of our past VODs and the instruction booklets as well, and all of our podcast episodes. And lastly, you can follow me, Wenzel, on Twitter at WenzelBookie. You can follow my art Instagram, Threads on Blue Sky as World of Wenzel. Follow my Bookstagram at Wenzel Banters. And my Linktree has links for everything, including my Goodreads, Letterboxd, and Music Board, which is like a new platform where you can review albums and songs and stuff. So that's where I want to try and post some album reviews. So go check that out. Thank you.
My name is Colt. Follow me on Twitter at Colty00 and Colty99 on Blue Sky. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Watch this movie. Read the one shot.